In our Women and Work report today,
Men absolutely do not make better CEOs.
So we started with the myth men build bigger businesses.
Even biologically, women, we are hardwired to be able to handle pressure better.
Want to be their own boss. They want to control their destiny.
Look into statistics. Businesses that are led by women are 40 to 70% less likely to go bankrupt.
Women-owned businesses have grown by 56%.
Strategy, empathy, and adaptability. And those are the traits that actually keep companies alive.
Despite what the news media and wannabe boss girls would have us believe, data show that women and men build totally different companies and with completely different impacts on the economy. So in today's video, rather than try to convince you, like the news media do, that women are great entrepreneurs and so much better than men that demand our respect, I'll give you the truth, the real numbers, and two real-world case examples that make the differences between male and female-owned businesses impossible to ignore. I'm about to dive in and show you that men are almost twice as likely to build employer firms that hire people and keep communities running. On the other hand, women overwhelmingly create solo service businesses that stay small and dissolve when real life happens. So let's walk through some national data, the industry split, and as I mentioned, two case studies, a small bakery and a virtual assistant agency that tell the story perfectly.
It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life.
Listen, when media discuss entrepreneurship among the genders, they often act as if all businesses are equally the same. But the data tell a very, very different story. Men and women start businesses in radically different industries with very distinct contributions to both local and national economies. This is visible in every small business association and census data set, and I'll play out some of the numbers here in just a moment. But first, when men start businesses, they are far more likely than women to form employer firms. That is, operations that hire staff, expand capacity, and contribute to a region's physical and economic infrastructure, all fields which require equipment, licensing, crews, and operational systems. In fact, let me put up here a list of the top 20 male and female-owned businesses in the United States in order of frequency. And what you'll notice is that when women start businesses, they overwhelmingly create non-employer businesses. That is, those that remain intentionally small and are far less likely to add employees to the local or national workforce. And the numbers make this divide very explicit. Men own about 3.6 million employer firms that hire other employees and 16.5 million non-employer firms that are solo ventures. Conversely, women own about 1.3 million employer firms which have employees. That's half as many as men, and 12.5 million non-employer firms. Those are the solo ventures. So between the genders, that means that 17.9% of male-owned businesses hire employees, while only 9.5% of female-owned businesses do. By the way, there's a whole shitload of data that you can get on this topic from sba.gov if you want to dive in further. I'll leave a little example here. So I want to make this clear. Men are nearly twice as likely to build something that grows beyond their own labor and supports the livelihood of others. That single difference in labor shapes markets, wages, community resilience, and how local economies evolve over time. And we can see that the gap is even more clear when we examine industry choice, such as women's propensity to start businesses like salons, childcare, creative freelancing, online boutiques, and even cleaning services. Those sectors are low capital, home compatible, and built around small client relationships. They offer flexibility for bored stay-at-home mothers, but rarely scale because the business is inseparable from the owner's own personal time and expertise. But lest this be just about vague numbers and abstract data, let's look at real-world examples of how this plays out. In this first news coverage example, a woman-owned business, Simply Cakes in Wisconsin, demonstrates exactly how celebrating women's failing business operates in practice.
Catherine Stafford had been baking for her family and friends for more than 20 years before a bad grocery store cake inspired her to become an entrepreneur. For the past 4 years, Stafford has been the proud owner of Simply Cakes. Since opening her business, Stafford says being her own boss is the most important thing to her and most other self-employed women.
I worked at way too many places that told me what to do, and it's nice to be able to go out and do your own thing.
Stafford joined hundreds of other female business owners from around Wisconsin at the 9th Annual Western Dairyland Women's Business Conference, Thursday, April 26th at the Plaza Hotel. The conference hosted close to 500 female business owners and featured vendors, speakers, and roundtable discussions for attendees to participate in and learn from.
And the TV news was more than happy to promote this woman-owned business because they love to tell us how wonderful women are at owning businesses, even if it adds nothing to the local or national workforce or even real value to society. I mean, it's cakes, for crying out loud. I can get a cake at 7-Eleven. So I did some digging, and this bakery was formed in 2011 as a small service-based operation built entirely around one woman's labor. But here's the real story. What the news did not follow up on and would never, ever circle back to report. The Simply Cakes LLC fell delinquent with the state of Wisconsin 2 years after registering. It then briefly regained compliance and ultimately dissolved in 2015. That's a business lifespan of just a few years. It never hired employees, as far as I could find. It never had a payroll. It never scaled beyond 1 or 2 people producing baked goods in this rural mini strip mall. After dissolution, any lingering use of the business name appears to have only continued as a hobby. Oh, and the business received only 1 Yelp review, a 3 out of 5 stars review for being unorganized and understaffed. And this is not unusual. It's the typical case for women-owned micro businesses. They provide niche value to individual customers, likely friends and family who suggested that they turn their hobby into a business, but rarely create durable infrastructure or jobs. And they often end when the owner burns out, or they get bored or overwhelmed with the actual amount of work and financing that's needed to stay in business. In another example, the social media promotion business mydfyservice.com demonstrates how contemporary female-led businesses follow the same trajectory even in online-focused industries. So check out this news coverage.
You're emotional and hormonal because you just had a baby.
Katie Merling didn't want to quit working after having her son, but she also wanted more time with her family, especially after her daughter came along.
It was when I would get up, see them for 20 minutes, come home, see them for 40 minutes because they'd go to bed because they were so little. That is when I realized this isn't what's working.
Though Katie knew she needed a change before her little ones weren't so little anymore, she wasn't willing to leave her job until she had something else lined up that would give her more time with her kids. So she started looking for ways to work from home and got a side gig as a virtual assistant.
It's just, what are you willing to do to get there? So I worked 3 jobs at one point to get there because I knew what I wanted the final outcome to be. But yeah, I started working from home and for a company, and from there, as the work from home grew, I was able then to leave, and then from that company I was blessed with an opportunity that I kind of took advantage of.
That opportunity was My DFY Service, a social media marketing firm Katie now owns with her sister Nadine. Becoming a business owner allowed Katie to ditch her commute for good, work from home, and join the ranks of other women business owners who generate nearly $2 trillion in revenue.
Things are definitely better now. I don't have to worry about the commute.
Katie's desire to spend those precious 3 hours hanging out with her kids instead of sitting on the train enticed her into entrepreneurship and is one of 5 key reasons Forbes says women now make up a whopping 40% of new business owners, bringing the total number of companies owned by women to nearly 13 million.
Now, based on what I could find, the online business's web domain was registered on December 28, 2018, and the business so-called launched a month later by way of a Facebook message centered on becoming a virtual assistant for work-life balance. Its services of social media management mirror the most common female-owned categories nationwide. And this one also never showed signs of scaling. A tiny LinkedIn footprint, one associated member, no hiring, no infrastructure. By November 7, 2025, the domain fell into a redemption period, meaning that the owner likely purchased the domain for several years at the start and then did not renew it after the initial purchase time had expired. So the website disappeared, although I can't say exactly when, and the founder had already moved on to a different full-time role by 2023. That's 2 years prior to the website expiring. Like millions of other women-owned non-employer businesses, mydfyservice.com existed for a couple of years, remained tied entirely to the founder's labor, and quietly shut down when life shifted. Another so-called woman-owned business that never took off.
There's a reason why women are on the rise everywhere, literally politics, business, tech, running businesses, entertainment.
They're also helping the economy.
Especially those who didn't intend to run their own companies.
Now listen, these two cases illustrate the broader structural truth. Men build labor multipliers. Women sell personal services built around themselves. One is oriented toward infrastructure and scale, the other toward relationship-based hobbies that they try to turn into legitimate services. Women themselves and the media want to tell us about the thousands and even millions of businesses that are owned by women, with more and more coming every day, and that they're brave and pioneering for women everywhere. But they will never report the truth that male-owned firms disproportionately create jobs, teams, and durable operational systems, while female-owned startups disproportionately focus on themselves and turning hobbies into solo gigs. Understanding this divide confirms the economic landscape that men build systems that keep communities functioning, women build services from interests or to get out of the workforce to prove that women are strong business people who add value to communities. And pretending that the value of men and women who start or own businesses are interchangeable is a lie that obscures what the real numbers and the real world examples already make clear.